We're back, people. What is up? Nice little stream today. Going over what happened yesterday, or what didn't happen yesterday for the Miami Dolphins. Talk about some of the other trades, and then really kind of focus on the future, where the Dolphins are at. Maybe get some NFL draft talk in there. And yeah, definitely leave any questions. I'll try to get to a lot of your comments, see what you guys are saying. But yeah, so I think yesterday, definitely some disappointment with the Dolphins not making any trades because, we traded Jalean Phillips on Monday. Tuesday, the trade deadline at 4 p.m. Eastern, and, Dolphins were reported, interested in trading a couple guys, specifically Bradley Chubb, Minkah Fitzpatrick. There was also, other teams like the Broncos talking about them trying to get Jalen Waddle, but they would only get rid of Waddle for a big trade, which I agree with. I only would have moved Waddle if you got something big, so I'm totally great with not moving Waddle. I think he is a long-term piece here. And from the comments I'm seeing yesterday on some of these posts about Jalen Waddle going for a first it makes me realize how underrated he is around the league. But trading Chubb and Minkah, I think they definitely should have gone out of Chubb for whatever they could have. I just think that was the right move for the team. Is it that big of a deal that they didn't do it? Not really. Like they are guys still under contract. I think here's the logic that I think they didn't make any moves. Man, this glare is crazy. Okay, I think the logic they didn't make any moves kind of come down to this. So Dolphins clearly, I think it was also reported that they clearly had things in mind, with what they want. They had value in mind, and they decided like, hey, if we don't get this value for this player, we're not going to trade him. And I can respect that, but like some of these players, like I think for Minkah, that's fine. I think for Chubb is more just like, hey, if they offered a 6, take a 6. If they didn't offer better than a 6, and I can understand not moving on. These guys are still under contract. I think the logical reason for maybe not underselling or fire sailing is maybe those guys are still under contract. Jalean Phillips was not going to be under contract, so like you kind of had to trade him now. If you wanted to trade him for something, you had to trade him. Chubb and Minkah could technically still be traded in the offseason. And maybe they wanted to give the new GM that choice. That's kind of a reason I was thinking maybe they didn't make any moves. That was kind of like the main reason, and then also the value thing. So I can understand it from that perspective. I think the hardest thing is like we're not in the room. We don't know what was actually offered. I really wish I could know what was actually offered so I could be like, oh yeah, this was... I understand why they didn't. Like, if you didn't get it, like maybe someone didn't even offer anything better than a 7th for Chubb. That's a possibility. Like, I don't think Chubb had great value. And if they didn't offer anything more than a 7th, I can understand maybe why they didn't do it. And they were like, hey, in the offseason, we'll just let the new GM kind of decide what to do. Same thing for Minkah. And Minkah is another one that, like, I could see actually having value beyond this season. Like, he is under contract. They probably... I think it's more likely they do move on from him. But I do think he is someone that is still good enough that he could still play, like, another year for you if you really wanted him to. Yeah. And, like, really the only player that you had that was getting offered for something that actually had real value outside of Jalean Phillips was Jalen Waddle, Yeah, that's also a good point, Lemony, about, maybe not wanting to get... And I see a lot of people blaming Champ Kelly, the interim GM. I wouldn't put too much stock into that because we really don't know how much say he has, like, especially as an interim GM. Like, we don't know if he was actually... what moves he was willing to make or not make, so I'm not going to give him too much flack. I think they're going to have a new GM anyways. I'm not going to harp on him too much. But yeah, that's sort of where I was at the trade deadline. There were some big trades yesterday. The Jets went... the Jets have done this before. The Jets now have, like 5 first-round picks the next 2 years? A lot of second-round picks. That's what the Dolphins did many years ago, and I mean, I think that's the correct way to attempt to rebuild. Now, they have to then hit on those picks, so that is a, something major for them because they have failed that in the past, specifically missing on some quarterbacks. Austin Jackson. I mean, he's still on IR, so you can't even trade him if you wanted to because he's on IR. Austin Jackson would be like a trade in the offseason type of guy, really, only. And his value would be probably the lowest it's ever been because he hasn't played like at all this season. I gotta move back a little bit. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, with the first comment that was here, I agree with the players he said, but also agree with what Irving's saying. Also, adding Waddle and Achane to that list. Those guys I think are around there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they got to hit on the. I mean, you never know. They're gonna have probably new, a regime around, so maybe they can hit on it. I don't think the Jets are necessarily a bad spot, but you got to be able to execute. We'll see if they execute, because I think they're really tanking. The Jets are really tanking, and that's the thing with the Dolphins. Like, if you look at the draft order, I think they currently what are they fourth overall. There's some very winnable games on this schedule. I have like the Dolphins could end up picking in like that 10 range. I wouldn't be surprised. Because I mean, yeah, they'll lose to the Bills next week, but after the Bills, they play the Commanders with Mariota. That game, I think, is a toss-up, especially because the Dolphins didn't really fire sale. They only got rid of Jalean Phillips, which is a big loss. But really, the team is like, if Chop gets healthy, the team's not going to have that big of a fall off. You also play the Saints, who I would probably think the Dolphins would be favored over the Saints. They play the Jets. The Dolphins will be favored of the Jets. Like, those three games are very winnable, and then they have a few other games on the schedule, like the Bengals, which is a winnable game. They have like some other ones. Like, so it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, so we ended up with. I think the thing is, this isn't the strongest draft class up the top. So you end up with that first round pick. You're going to have to nail that one, because there are some guys in this class that I think could be busts that are near the top of this class. Whether you go quarterback, because I have some thoughts whether they go quarterback or not quarterback and what they should do, which quarterback they should take, and if they don't go quarterback, which sort of defender I would probably take. I'm leaning a certain way as of right now. Obviously still very far out. But if you look at the Dolphins roster, the reason I talk about these, so they're going to have a lot of needs in this offseason. It's going to be very difficult on the new GM to really flip this thing around quickly. It's not impossible. You've seen teams do it before, but they're not going to have a lot of resources in terms of cap in 2026. They can create cap, but that would then push the problems back to even like 2027, 2028, which I don't know if they would want to do that. I don't think that's probably the best thing for the team. Oh God, I got to get off this. But then you get, what was I saying? Yeah, then we get to our draft picks, which we have a first, a second, which should be pretty high picks in the first and second. So you got to be able to nail those. A high pick in the first, it's probably going to be like your highest pick in the first round in a while, probably since Waddle, you took at 6, and you started at 3rd. That's another possibility. You could also see, if the Dolphins do pick top 3, they could do it. A trade back is definitely in the cards. Just depends on if they actually offer something worth taking. Then you get an early second, and then you have 3 third-round picks. Gotta try to hit those. The third round is going to be so big in this upcoming class. Dolphins haven't picked in third round in a while. And I think that is the biggest problem I think that this team had is the Dolphins went all in 2022 and 2023 and just had no picks in those drafts. Really the only player out of those draft classes, because you had 4 picks in each draft, there's only one player, and it's Achane, that is really a long-term asset to you. And I think that's just a really poor way to build your team. And that's why like one of the problems I had with the whole rebuild is they really went way too far all in. Like, it's fine to go all in, but you don't need to trade away all of your picks for other teams' players. Yeah. I think it depends for me. I would take Ty Simpson at the top of this draft class. I think Ty Simpson's legit. I would take Ty Simpson over Francis Managoa very easily. Ruben Bain's a different story. The other defender that I want to talk about that I would take at the top. So, like, if they go QB, I actually am thinking Ty Simpson. I think Mendoza's going to probably go, like, first or second overall to the Jets, wherever they pick, or the Saints, whatever. I really think Ty Simpson's QB1, personally. If McDaniel was still head coach, he would also fit that scheme very well. Because I think, I saw someone mentioned earlier, being like a run-first team, which I agree with. But I think the run first thing is like, it's not necessarily about the running backs. I think it's more so building up that O-line. And then also, I've been pushing to get a tight end for so long. The Dolphins need to get 2 tight ends. That's where I'm at. Not just one. They need a Y and an F tight end in this system. I'm looking at Seattle. Look at what Seattle's doing offensively. Seattle runs a very similar scheme. They also run a Shanahan-style scheme, what Kubiak does. They run a ton of 12 personnel. 2 tight ends. They get AJ Barner and Elijah Arroyo on the field, and they run a ton of play action out of it. and they built their offensive line. I think Seattle is a very good blueprint for what Miami should be trying to do. Whether Tua is your quarterback or not, I think that's something that makes life easier on the quarterback. That's why you're seeing Sam Darnold play so well, because they are just maximizing his strengths. And 2 tight end sets, and there's some Y and F, like Eli Stowers, that if you want an F tight end in this system, there's some good Y tight ends like Kenyon Sadiq, Oscar Delp, who I think can do a little bit of both. I'm trying to get some 2 tight ends, 12 personnel all day long, please. And then if they don't go, I want to go like that. I think there's a defender. Like the Dolphins are going to have, if you look at this defense side of the ball, they're going to have a needs at every position, pretty much beside D tackle. The D tackle is like the one position where you're like, going into next year, you don't need to you don't need to spend a lot of resources on D tackle. Like obviously you'll add to it, but you don't need to have high-end resources. Arvell Reese, I think, is a kill 2 birds with 1 stone situation. I wouldn't be surprised if Arvell Reese is the best prospect in this class. That's how good he is. He's up there with Ruben Bain, in my opinion. And this guy plays off-ball linebacker and edge, and I think he does both at a high level. Last year, there was a guy like that who's Jalen Walker from Georgia, who's actually playing pretty well for the Falcons. He went 15th overall, and I think Reese is better at edge and linebacker than Walker is. This guy is a freak in nature, explosively. And I think Reese, this is something the Dolphins defense needs desperately, is explosiveness and violent play. Arvell Reese, I'm watching this guy violently knock over offensive tackles as an off-ball linebacker build. And he can play edge. He can rush the passer. He's like a NFL defensive weapon. He's someone who can transform your whole scheme with all the usage that you can get out of him. So if the Dolphins did pick near the top and they say they didn't go QB, Arvell Reese. Yeah. I'll probably break down some of the quarterback film eventually. But yeah, Ty Simpson, I'm a big fan. I think he's the guy that in this class does all of the things that I like. He has the anticipation. He has the understanding of where to go with the ball from pre-snap to post-snap. And then I also think he has the cleanest mechanics. And then he's a decent athlete. He also has some decent play strength. He's not the biggest guy. He's probably average size for a quarterback. But I've watched him run through arm tackles in the backfield, and he has really good pocket awareness. He's the type of guy, and I also think he can do the under center play action stuff, where you see a lot of QBs thriving right now is run first team. Is Reese the outside linebacker version of Kyle Hamilton? Honestly, that's not that bad. Watch how Kyle Hamilton is used right now for the Ravens. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton can also play deep safety. But Reese would actually be kind of used like that because Hamilton's been playing a lot of on the line of scrimmage. Reese does that as well. Reese is I don't even know if there's a good comp. There's a little bit of that Micah Parsons, where Parsons played off-ball linebacker in college and transitioned to edge at the next level. Reese has a little bit of that. I don't know if he'd be as dominant as a pass rusher, but I actually think he would be a better off-ball linebacker than what Parsons would do. And this guy is strong as all hell. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of him. Is he declaring for the draft in 2026? Are you talking about Ty Simpson? He's not 100% to declare, but I think Mendoza and Simpson are the most likely guys to declare because I think they'll both go very high. So I think from what I've seen, it seems like he's going to declare, but I guess that can change. I think Dante Moore is the one where people are 50-50 out of the underclassmen guys that could go fairly high, the Oregon quarterback. I think he is someone who might not declare, could declare. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I think Ty Simpson, I lean towards declaring, and I think Mendoza's fairly a lock to declare unless he was to get injured or something. But yeah, I understand either strategy, whether they go take the QB strategy, try to build around that, or maybe they wait a year. It can be a little bit risky. I think it just depends on where you pick. And because if you don't pick top 3, you're probably going to miss out on a QB anyways. And if you do pick top 3, what kind of offers are you getting for that pick? Does it outweigh taking the quarterback? Especially if you're not sold. Because we don't know who the GM will be, who the head coach will be. They may not be sold on the QBs in the draft and they decide to, trade back or go another direction. That's for sure, top possibility. But that's really definitely what I want to talk about was building run first, 2 tight ends, man. I've been asking to get 1 tight end. Now I'm changing it up. I haven't gotten any. Give me 2 stud tight ends, 1 Y and 1 F. I'm watching teams around the league thrive under 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, and the things that you can do. And there's some good tight ends in this class. I don't think it's as strong as last year's class, but there are some good players. I like Eli Sowers from Vanderbilt. If you want an F tight end, he's like a move tight end. He's not going to be an inline blocker. That's not his game. But like yak ability, really good yak ability. Very good understanding of like how to get open, make tough catches. Kenyon Sadiq's the all-around guy that can make plays down the field and also be a disgusting inline blocker. Delp's probably the in-between of those two. There's other guys like Max Clare from Ohio State who's not bad. Endries from Texas. And there's some more players I want to watch. Like Joe Royer from Cincinnati actually seems like a decent player from what I've seen so far. Yeah, some interesting things there when it comes to drafts. Yeah. So I want to throw that out there. Oliver Reese would be one of my favorite options for Miami at the top of the draft. That's my early take, like non-QB. And if they were to go QB, I want to throw it out there. Ty Simpson. Poise, anticipation, accuracy, while also having good arm talent and good athleticism. He zips the ball. He's not like a great athlete. Like he's not going to blow you away with his athleticism, but he's not a statue. He can make some plays off script. You're not completely sold on J. Hill and Dulcich. Hey, I'm fine with either of those guys as your third tight end. I think as your third tight end, pretty good value for those players. But when you have to play them, like especially Jalean Hill, I think has shown like he's an NFL player. Like he's a guy that you can have on the field. But when he's your tight end 1, it's like, god damn. You definitely wish we would have got the guy that went to Indy. Yeah. Tight end, honestly, like I think I talked about this in a recent stream. I don't know when it happened or how it happened because I've always had like certain positions. Like everyone, like if you do scouting, everyone has certain positions they feel more comfortable with, But for some reason, like mine's always been DB and receiver because that's what I played. But for some reason, tight end has probably been my most accurate position each year. Like I feel like I always nail the tight ends. What's Simpson's size? I believe he's like, I think it's like 6'2", something like 215-ish. So like pretty like middle of the pack. Yeah, he's listed at like 6'2", 210. So he's not the biggest guy, but like he's not super small either. Like to me with quarterbacks, as long as you're not tiny, like I think you're fine. Because a lot of the there's some good quarterbacks that are obviously huge, but then there's quarterbacks like Lamar and Mahomes who are like average size. Burrow, it's not the biggest guy either. He's, you don't need to be the biggest quarterback to be quite good. As long as I think for size, it's like if you're super small, can you see over the line and also the injury stuff? And I don't think Ty Simpson has those problems, at least from what I've seen. Arvell Reese or Caleb Downs, which you prefer if they both in the broad? I think I prefer Reese from I think he'd be more impactful, like down to down. I think Caleb Downs is one of the safest players in this class and would be very good. Like if the Dolphins end up say the Dolphins pick around 10 and they took Caleb Downs, like I'm not gonna be mad about that at all because I think you got a stud, Like it's just safety is one of those positions, like he is one of the better safety prospects I've seen, so I am comfortable taking him pretty high. It's just safety can be one of those positions that just based on usage cannot always be involved, which kind of sucks. In the board. Yeah. I figured you meant something like that. What do you expect out of the offense against the Bills? I think the offense has actually figured a little bit. I'm not expecting the offense to be like world beaters versus the Bills. But if you look at the last few games against Buffalo, like the game in week 1 and then the game from last year in Buffalo, or not week 1, but the first game against them this year, I feel like the Dolphins have figured a little bit out of like how to run the ball against them, short passing game. So I think the offense will be efficient. I don't think it's going to blow the doors off of them. I have some concerns though all around. When is Waller coming back? I have no idea. I don't know if Waller will come back this year. He'll probably be healthy enough to come back, but like the season will be over by the time he's ready to come back, you know? Yeah, Reese does play under control. Bro, I'm about to make a film breakdown on Arvel Reese. I plan on recording it either today or tomorrow, and it'll be members only for a little bit. But yeah, I'll probably have my Kenyan Sadiq video out sometime this week. I plan on a Patrick Paul video soon because I do want to go over the guys that I think are long-term players here for the most part. Like those are my focus for the most of the rest of this season. And I don't think have I made a Patrick Paul video this year? I've done some O-line videos, but I don't think I haven't done a Patrick Paul video in a while. So is Austin Jackson out for the year? I don't think he's out for the year, but maybe by the time he's ready to come back, they might just say, hey, you're done. But I would like to see Austin Jackson and James Daniels come back because I actually want to see what the O-line would look like, at least for a few games when all 5 of those guys are in, because I want to see how you would be able to run behind those 5, because I think you would find more success offensively overall. And I also want to see how Jonah would look, maybe with better players out there with him, because I think they would be able to give Jonah more help, and I think that would be an interesting thing to see. And yeah, just we can go over the Dolphins roster real quick. Dante Trader, I want to talk about the rookies. Dante Trader, I think, has been pretty impressive over the last 2 weeks. He wasn't perfect versus the Ravens, but that guy was all over the field, very active, and I liked seeing that. And I think Trader's going to just continue to play a lot. You know, Ashton Davis and Melifonwu have missed time with injuries. I don't really see the point of playing Melifonwu and Davis over Trader, and the Dolphins are already running a ton of 3 safety looks. Now I think with Jason Marshall Jr. back, let's get Jason Marshall some snaps because he played a few snaps versus the Ravens, but it wasn't much and there wasn't really any takeaways to have. He's been out for a while, so I think it's time to get Marshall some snaps, see what you have out of him. Because really that corner room next year, a lot of these guys are gone. Like most of your corner players are off the roster. So let's see what we got out of him. I think one of my favorite parts of the Jalean Phillips trade is we'll actually see more Chop Robinson. Maybe not this week because I know Chop got the concussion last week, so maybe Chop won't be ready to play this week. But at least for the rest of the season, when Chop is active, he will actually play majority of the snaps, which I think is huge to seeing what we have out of him. Because I still value Chop a lot. I think people have sort of lowered their opinion on him this season, but I think that really has more to do with his usage than him as a player. Like I think if he is actually used and actually gets more opportunities, I think he will find the success that we saw from him last year, because I do still see that explosiveness, that ability to set up the pass rush. Like the flashes are still there. It's just less opportunities means he's going to flash less. So hopefully he gets those shots. Out of the rookies, I still feel pretty much the same about Jordan Phillips. I feel like he's been pretty much the same all year long. Solid for a 5th round pick. Does his job versus the run. Not going to impress you as a pass rusher. Same thing with Ollie Gordon. I like Ollie Gordon as a complimentary back. He does a good job in short yardage situations. He's not going to blow you away with his athleticism or anything, but he clearly has a role, and for a 6th round guy, fills into that pretty nicely. And then your top 2 picks, I definitely have concerns about Jonah. Definitely the one I have the most concerns about. I don't expect to see much improvement this year. I think it's more of an offseason thing if it does end up happening. And then I think Grant, I actually feel pretty confident with Grant. I think he's getting better and better, and you're seeing the flashes every week. I think the bad thing about Grant is the flashes have gone up and the negative plays have gone down. Like, even his negative plays are not that bad. I'm like, oh, that sort of type of play that you lost on, that happens to, even some of the better defensive tackles every once in a while, and it's not happening a ton. And he's looking more explosive, more powerful, more comfortable. So I think Grant is someone I feel pretty good about, especially future-wise. And those are really the only rookies playing. How would you prioritize positions going to the draft? Maybe top 3 positional needs. Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm a big BPA person, and I think the Dolphins have so many needs. Like, it's like, as long as you don't take like running back 1st round, pretty much, like you could go anywhere. Maybe also throw a receiver in there. Like, you don't need to take receivers super, super early. I do think they do need a receiver, but receiver is one position I think you're mostly good at. I think you just need a solid number 2. I think it really depends on free agency. Obviously, things will change by free agency, but as of right now, and looking what the roster is going to be next year, I would say top 3 would be corner, would definitely be in the top 3. I don't know 3 or 1. I'm just gonna say top 3. So corner, I think I'm gonna still throw O-line in there just because I think they're gonna probably try to move on at right tackle specifically for Jackson. So maybe right tackle. And I think after the season, Chop might be the only edge defender. So it might be edge. Because I think they're going to move on from Chubb, and it'll just be Chop in that room. Also tight end. Honestly, throw in tight end instead of edge. Because tight end's, God, that position sucks. It's just edge is more of a valuable position. Do you think Biggers will get snaps? Should be a special... Yes, a special teams ace, I'm guessing. Yeah. I think they should try to get him some snaps. Why not? I mean, I don't know if he will. I do think they should try to get him some special team stuff. My God, I'm getting flashbanged. Yeah, I would like to. I do think he would probably struggle defensively. I think he plays with too high a pad level. I think he's another one that would have some inconsistencies. But yeah, I would like to see him get at least some, make him active. Let's see if he can block some kicks, you know? In that case, Reese sounds like the perfect pick. Yeah, Reese just kills 2 birds, 1 stone because he's someone like, usually there's those tweener guys every year, right? They're like, you know, the Falcons with Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker mostly just plays edge for the Falcons. And I do think he was a better edge. He had a linebacker build, but he was a better edge. Arvell Reese is someone who I legitimately think, like, game to game, as long as he can handle it mentally, like if he can figure out the scheme mentally, I think he's someone who is capable of playing both edge and off-ball linebacker. Like, could switch back and forth, snap to snap, or full game at linebacker, or full game at edge the next week. Like, that's how good I think he is as a player. So it kind of kills 2 birds, 1 stone. Wherever you're weaker at, he could play. And then also just games, like, he could literally just be swapping back and forth, snap to snap. Series to series. Right, if the starting for O-line play, we might win, and that could lead to McDaniel staying on next lower draft picks too. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to root for them to lose. You know, it's nicer to have higher draft picks, but at the end of the day, you got to hit on it. It doesn't necessarily, I think it matters more who's doing the drafting than where you draft, because there's a lot of teams that draft very well that pick very late. Boom. I can't believe that Jalean Phillips highlight video I made 2 days ago got 20,000 views. That's crazy. I gotta start doing that more often, predicting players that are gonna get traded, so I have like a highlight video ready to go, and I can just make it public if they get traded, or maybe I do that during free agency, just have like highlight videos ready to go for free agents and stuff. Because that's when people are looking up players' names. Do that for the draft. That's basically what I do for the draft. Have a bunch of draft videos, and then the draft gets like, that's when like a lot of people are searching up players. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make an Arvell Reese video pretty soon. Start watching. I've watched a lot of the top guys. Now it's time to start finding the sleepers. I want to start finding some sleepers. I need to start getting to day 2, day 3 guys. I have found some guys underrated at corner, like Chandler Rivers at corner from Duke. Chris Johnson from San Diego State. Really big fan of him. Those are some underrated players that I will probably be pretty high on. I wouldn't be surprised if they went day 2. There is... But yeah. Pretty much what I talk about there. And just back to the trade stuff, I guess. Finish that up. I would have... Why did we keep 1-year contracts, no trades? Well, what players are you talking about specifically? Because I think the only players they really got offers for were players that were on more than 1-year contracts, but they just didn't deem the value was correct. Now, I still would have tried to trade Bradley Chubb for pretty much anything, just because it would help cap space-wise, and I think, you know, you're going to move on from him in the offseason. Now, maybe they're just doing that so the GM has the real decision. The new GM is like, hey, I'm going to decide to do with Bradley Chubb and Minka. And that's what, you know, what the management was thinking, like Ross and stuff. It was like, hey, you didn't get good value. Just keep Chubb, keep Minka. Definitely don't trade Waddle unless you got something crazy. Like, I wasn't trading Waddle unless I was getting, what the Jets were getting yesterday. The Jets got some crazy offers. Jets are loading up to make sure they get Mendoza just in case the Giants, yeah. I mean, that's fine with me. I don't want to trade up for a quarterback. I don't think the quarterbacks are worth trading up for in this class. Like, I think if you're trading up to get Mendoza, you're probably going to be giving up too much. Now, if you are stand pat and you're picking 3 and you're able to get a Mendoza or Ty Simpson, totally cool with that. But I do not want to see us straighten up. I don't think the Jets want Mendoza. They're clearly loading up for the 2027 draft. Yeah, but it could also be the 2027 draft has a lot of talent that's not at quarterback. So I think people just see the 2027 draft as the better class in general. There might be some QBs there too, but every year the QB class has been maybe underwhelming. I think 2027 also has the chance to be the exact same as that. But that's in 2027. That's where you get guys like Jeremiah Smith. Because that guy is a potential generational receiver. CB, safety, D tackles, linebackers. QBs in this draft, aren't it? Yeah, but who are the QBs next year though? That would be like for sure things, because I don't think they're really like. There's some guys I like. I don't know if there's anyone as like for sure things. But I'm a fan of Ty Simpson. Looking like 2020 our spot. What do we keep? 26 at the QB position. Keep 2 at free agent. I think you can still take QB in 2026. I think it's just way too early to say. Like, I think there's a possibility you keep Tua. I think you definitely could keep Tua in 2026 and still draft someone. Free agent. They could also go like, say if like the Cardinals move on from like Kyler Murray, you could use Kyler Murray as a bridge QB or something. Like, there's some bridge quarterbacks out there, but I don't know. Julian Sane. Yeah, I mean, I like Julian Sane, but like to me, I view Julian Sane pretty similarly to like how I see Ty Simpson right now, personally. But I do think Sane will be pretty good. I don't know. You never know. A lot of these guys, like every quarterback that was supposed to be good in this upcoming class, pretty much fell off. Almost every single one. Where's the strength of this draft? Honestly, mostly defensively. I would say safety's a strength, linebacker's a strength. Corner is pretty good. Edge and D tackle I think are pretty good. Interior line is definitely better than tackle. I would say offensive tackle is a weakness of the class. Receiver, I would say, is a strength. Running back is a weakness. And I would say quarterback is decent. Yeah. Yeah, 2028 class might be where it's at, honestly. They're going to have some names there, but those guys are very far out. That could also change a lot, too. Bryce Underwood. But that's going to have there's a couple guys. There's Malik Washington. There's a few other younger quarterbacks that could be quite good. But yeah, that's kind of any other questions. I think that was everything I wanted to talk about as of right now. What about pending free agents? Yeah, I mean, I don't really know about the free agent class, to be honest. I usually don't get into free agency right away because so many players get re-signed. The whole thing looks way different than what you were expecting anyways. I kind of just, look into that when we get a little bit closer. Yeah. Can't believe, the Jets really went. Can't believe they got. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing in their position, trading away a first and a second. It's like, yeah, Quinn Williams is obviously very good, but just seems like you should have kept Michael Parsons. Yup. Yeah, to me, just taking quarterback in this class just all depends on where you end up picking. If you're in the position to actually get one, go for it. If you're not, take one of the top defenders or something. Just take best player available. And there's really only two QBs I'm feeling comfortable with that I think are going to be in this class that are worth it at the top, and that's Mendoza and Ty Simpson. And I don't know. I feel pretty confident the Dolphins won't be in position to get one of them because I don't think they're going to pick top two. I still believe in Sellers. He's too dynamic to pass up. I think Sellers should stay back. Personally, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I don't think she should declare. He needs to go. He needs to transfer because he's behind one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. No, I think he's definitely better than Anthony Richardson, but I do think he needs another year. Yeah, I just don't like taking the chance. I mean, Richardson was just a horrible prospect. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.